Champ Week presented by Principal. You're watching the 2018 MAC Basketball Tournament presented by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. From Quicken Loans Arena in downtown Cleveland, it's the MAC Tournament Championship game pitting the 2-seed Rockets of Toledo against the 1-seed Bulls of Buffalo. Toledo and Buffalo were the two best teams during the regular season, but both had to battle to get to the finals, especially the Rockets barely beating Eastern Michigan in last night's semifinals. Alongside Rob Kennedy, I'm Clay Matvick, and Rob, Buffalo knocked out last year's tournament champ Kent State behind the hot shooting of junior Jeremy Harris.
Well, Clay, there's no question that Buffalo has the most offensive weapons of any team in the MAC. But Jeremy Harris, he's been their X factor all season long. He's got great size at 6'7". He's a really hard matchup. And when he shoots the ball like he has the first two games here in the MAC tournament, 9 for 14 from beyond the three-point line, it takes Buffalo to a whole nother level.
And Toledo has been led all season by the MAC Player of the Year, Trayshawn Fletcher. In the quarterfinals against Miami, he tweaked his left knee, stayed in the game, and finished with 16 points and 9 rebounds. But last night, in the semis against Eastern Michigan, he injured the same knee on the opening possession and couldn't continue. So a bad break for the Rockets. He won't play tonight. He'll be in street clothes.
And certainly they're going to have somebody step up and have a monster game. Talk about a guy stepping up in a big spot. How about the freshman from Cleveland right here at home? Marion Jackson had a huge game, a career game in the semifinals. 8 for 11 from beyond the three-point line. As coach said, he is a big shot guy. None bigger than this with 7 seconds left to send them into the MAC final.
So without Fletcher, Toledo's starting five is going to look a little different. Marion Jackson is certainly going to be the headliner again tonight after the big night. They're going to start a couple of sophomores, a couple of juniors, and a freshman.
Eastern Michigan in the semifinals.
Marion Jackson, 26 points on 8 of 11 from 3. As you look at Jackson, Sanford, Willie Jackson, high school teammates with Marion at Garfield Heights High School just down the road. Luke Konopke and Nate Navigato. And for Buffalo, Harris, Jordan, C.J. Massenberg, Wes Clark, the only senior on the Buffalo lineup, and Ekenner Smart.
Thirsty for a great game? Either team scores 80 points or more.
Now, in a lot of these tournament games, Rob, it comes down to free throw shooting. We've looked at the numbers, and Toledo has a decided advantage if you look at the season numbers, but the last time these two teams played, it was Buffalo hitting the shots at the free throw line.
Yeah, they were 27 of 31 from at the foul line in that game. One of the reasons why they're able to escape with a 10-point win at home. But that was so long ago. That was 2 months ago, Clay. So these are two totally different teams now that they meet for the second time.
And defense is going to be key for Toledo tonight. 104-94 loss at Buffalo. The only game they've given up 100 points this season.
And you see how much they're going to miss Fletcher. Obviously, if you're missing the player of the year, it means a lot. 27 in their first matchup against Buffalo, and that was just in 25 minutes because of foul trouble.
Bo Borowski, Terry Weimer, Lamont Simpson, the officiating crew here tonight. Toledo in their road gold uniforms controlling the opening possession. Here is Sanford driving into the lane, which he wants to do, and he throws up the first shot of the game, and it goes down.
And Todd Kowalczyk earlier today said, you know what, if we're going to hang in there without Fletcher, Jalen Sanford's got to have his A game tonight. Didn't have it last night. They survived in the semis. They won't be able to survive without him tonight.
He has made a lot of big shots this year. He averages 16 points per game. Here's Massenberg now, feeds the corner, Devontae Jordan, and they get their wires crossed. It's thrown into the backcourt. And now Bo Borowski is going to call off Terry Weimer there, and it's going to stay with Buffalo. As you look at Todd Kowalczyk, 8th-year head coach at Toledo. He's led the Rockets to first or second place finishes in the MAC West in 5 of his 8 seasons. Hasn't taken him to an NCAA tournament yet. That could change tonight.
And Wes Clark continues to not be able to find the mark from inside the three-point line.
There's Marion Jackson picking up, Rob, where he left off.
As we said, 8 for 11 from deep the other night. He didn't score in the quarterfinals. Who saw that coming?
One of the top freshmen in the MAC. We call him Matchin Jackson after last night's game. And out driving Jordan. Nice pass to Kenneth Smart, but he's rejected inside by Konopka.
Yeah, and he's got the size to be able to defend at the rim. He's got 7 blocks already, Clay, here in the MAC tournament.
Top 5 all-time in blocks at Toledo, and he can shoot, too. The big man leaves it short.
Yeah, and he couldn't find the mark last night. Really struggled from the floor, just 1 of 11.
Here's Clark. He tries the 3, gets the home court bounce on the road.
Well, he's been able to make shots from beyond the arc so far in the MAC tournament, but he's 0 for 10 inside the arc.
Former Missouri Tiger has resurrected his career with the Buffalo Bulls. 5-3 Toledo. Matchup of 1 versus 2 seeds here in the MAC title game for the league's automatic bid to the dance. Jackson hits again.
Well, talk about playing with confidence. Happy to be home here in Cleveland. Member of the MAC all-freshman team stepping up, playing his best basketball here over the last couple of days.
2-point win over Miami, 1-point win over Eastern Michigan for Toledo, and they're on the run again off the Buffalo turnover. It's Sanford. Navigado, he'll skip past it across. Jackson dumps it inside for Konopka. Battling with Smart, his shot no good. Out of bounds, and it's going to go to Buffalo. As we look at Nate Oates in his 3rd year. The MAC Coach of the Year, former Bobby Hurley assistant, after a great high school run at Romulus in Detroit.
Yeah, and all the Bulls fans are saying, don't listen to Dan Dawkins. Stay, don't worry about going.
And they touched on it in studio, awarded a new 5-year deal here just the other day. There is Jeremy Harris. That is his 10th 3 of this tournament.
He's just been on fire. He's got such great size, too, Clay. So if you're late on a closeout, at 6'7", the ball's out of his hands before you get there.
Good feel to this start. Not even 4 minutes in. Jackson. That time he's off the mark. Clark snares the rebound. Wastes no time getting it up the floor. That's what the Bulls want to do. The running of the Bulls is the best way to describe this offense.
Yeah, you can't turn it over, but you also can't take bad shots, as Jackson did on that last possession, because it just gets them out in transition.
85 points per game for Buffalo. Highest scoring team in program history. They've gone over 80 25 times this year. Sanford will slow things down. 5 on the shot clock. Contested 3, not even close.
And that's the one thing that Buffalo has done here in this tournament. They have really locked down defensively.
There's a foul out high. It's drawn by Harris. We've got a timeout on the floor. Quick pace here in the MAC title game. Toledo by 1 early.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. Go visit MyrtleBeach.com to plan your vacation today. The 7-seater Volkswagen Atlas and AstraZeneca.
Seed Buffalo Bulls seeking their 3rd MAC tournament title in 4 years and 3rd trip to the NCAA tournament in program history, but they're down 1 to this scrappy Toledo bunch, Rob Kennedy. They're without their player of the year tonight. Trayshawn Fletcher's got a knee injury, but they're figuring out ways to play well without him.
And we saw them do that last night as well. Think about this. Fletcher is top 4 in the league in scoring, rebounding, and assists. A guy who's had a triple-double, so he impacts the game in so many different ways. We said they were going to have a hero last night. Marion Jackson was the hero so far tonight, Clay. Same guy with that Superman cape on. Marion Jackson once again knocking down threes from deep and giving his team the early lead.
He's got 5 early points. Again, played his high school ball at Garfield Heights, 11 miles from here. Nice bounce off the run for Clark. He has 2 more.
And you saw last night, it's really hard to keep Wes Clark out of the lane. Last night in the semifinals, it seemed like he was in there on every possession he had a paint touch.
25 points, 5 assists against Toledo in January for Clark. Adway scores for the Rockets. Taylor Adway, junior from Illinois, giving his team good minutes. He played well at Buffalo, 7.6 rebounds, and makes a contribution here as we go back and forth. Lead now Toledo's by 1. Javon Graves on the baseline.
He had a very good game in the semifinals against Kent State as well. Another local guy. Having played his high school basketball at St. Mary's, or St. Vincent St. Mary's in Akron.
That's LeBron James High School.
Yeah, guy who runs around on this court pretty well. Made a name for himself with the Fighting Irish.
Willie Jackson dribbles into the lane and has his pocket picked by Clark. Bulls in transition, and Harris is stripped. Out of bounds, back to Buffalo.
That's the one thing that Toledo did not do in their first meeting. Marion Jackson threw the ball around in that game, had 6 turnovers. Part of their 16 turnovers, reason why they ended up losing up in Buffalo.
You see Buffalo's ranks first in all these offensive categories. Just an impressive offensive year.
And it's amazing how they in Toledo are first and second in just about every offensive category. If it's not one, it's the other.
6th man of the year, Nick Perkins, missed the 3. Get a foul underneath.
And Perkins had shot the ball well throughout the season for beyond the 3, but he's not been able to find the mark lately. Now 0 of 9 from 3 in his last 6 games.
The foul is on Carruthers, his first. Perkins, it's a line drive shot. We saw it again on that 3 attempt.
It's amazing. There are times where you don't think the ball's ever above the front of the rim. Takes advantage, especially on the wings and down in the post. He throws it against the backboard.
He has made 10 starts this year, Rob, but he likes coming off the bench.
Well, what they did is he was in a bit of a slump, so they took him off the bench. All he has done since then has been responded with 23 straight games in double figures since coming off the bench.
Adway in the paint, double team, stripped again. Devontae Jordan with the theft. He'll take it the length. And it's out of bounds, back to Toledo.
And Toledo has survived a couple of live ball turnovers because Nate Oates' team has not been able to convert at the other end.
3 turnovers now for Buffalo. They only had 8 last night against Kent State in the semifinals.
Yeah, 2 of those have been when they've been on the run where it looked like they were going to have a transition bucket.
10-9 Buffalo. Coming up on 13 minutes to go here in the first half. Dylan Alderson, the freshman out of Clarkston, Michigan. Sanford lost his dribble. Shot clock inside of 10. Alderson penetrates. He's cut off. Twisting, throws it off the window and in.
Let's just get great patience once he got himself into the lane. He didn't panic. Instead, stayed on the ground. Nice ball fake to get the defender off the ground.
Here's Nick Perkins going to work. Konopke hems him in on the baseline and plays great defense.
Well, he's 6'11". He uses all of that size. He's not a shot blocker that's going to leave the floor. He just bodies up.
And Sanford plunges in a 3.
And remember, Toledo's not afraid to get up and down the floor either. They'll play at a high pace, especially when they get good looks in transition.
Massenberg, did he travel? Nope. Foul called with 12:10 to go here in the first half. Here's that Alderson move.
And so many guys just panic when they get in the lane. You got plenty of time. You got 3 seconds in college basketball, more like 5 once you get in the lane. And here's the nice defense just walling up and holding his ground. As we said, Konopke has 7 blocks coming in the MAC tournament. He's got 2 already here tonight.
That foul was on Marion Jackson, his first. Second team foul on Toledo. Carruthers gets it into Perkins. Left hand, a little strong. And a foul underneath that's going to go against the Bulls. Montel McCray, the 6'10 Cleveland native, played his high school ball at Central Catholic High School, picks up his first. And there you see Trayshawn Fletcher. All he can do tonight is help cheerlead.
Yeah, but he's been up and active, rooting his teammates on. He wants a win so that he can keep playing. They say he's going to have an MRI tomorrow. They don't think there's any structural damage, and who knows, if they come away with the win, they're expecting him to be able to play.
That'd be great for him. That is indeed the case. 4 to shoot. Sanford a long way from the hoop. Pull-up jumper. Carruthers dishes back to Perkins. Got it and one.
Well, they've had some empty trips in transition. They don't come up empty this time because Perkins traveling, getting himself up the floor and finishing through contact to cut the lead to 2.
One of the best seasons in team history for the Buffalo Bulls, winning the MAC regular season for the first time. They're down a couple here with 11.5 to go in the first. The RPI for Buffalo, not bad. In fact, 30 most years is going to get you in. They've beaten every school in the league at least once. But, Rob, they have no signature wins out of conference. Do they have any chance for an at-large if they don't win tonight?
No, especially the way that it looks like the committee is going to look at those quadrant 1 wins, and they don't have any of those. What's interesting, they've got a pretty similar resume to a Middle Tennessee, who now Joe Lunardi has as the second 4 out, next 4 out. A lot of people thought that Middle Tennessee was solidly into the tournament until they got upset in the quarterfinals of their conference tournament. But Nate Oates and his team, they have not talked about that at all. They have been clear about the fact that if they want to play in the NCAA tournament, they feel like they've got to win. And so they have come here with a business-like approach. And it started with their last regular season game against Bowling Green, when Nate Oates challenged his team and said, you know what, let's treat this like it's our first-round game. For 18 games throughout, we've got to be the best team for 3 games in Cleveland.
Looking for their 26th win of the year here tonight. Justin Roberts into the game now for Toledo, number 5 in goal. 5 to shoot for the Rockets. Throwing up a shot, Navigado. Offensive rebound, Konopke. We'll go back into it. Konopke backing down McCray. Turnaround, got it. That is something we didn't see a lot of from him last night in the semis.
No, the zone of Eastern Michigan negated that. He had to play out of the high post a ton in that game, but he's got so much more strength inside than McCray. A lot different than going up against Perkins or Smart.
Massenberg forced one into the lane. McCray somehow found the handle and got it up and in from a tough angle.
Yeah, he snuck it through 2 defenders.
1-point lead for Toledo. This has been a great start for the Rockets, playing without the best player in the league, Trayshawn Fletcher. Konopke battling hard, flips it up. This time it doesn't go, and McCray will clear it for Buffalo.
But they once again realize that he's got a size mismatch as far as girth, so they pound it into him.
Here's Jeremy Harris, shuffled his feet, turnover Buffalo. Well, Champ Week presented by Principal rolls on tomorrow at 1 Eastern with the SEC Championship game in St. Louis. Kentucky, which beat Colin Sexton and Alabama today, will face Tennessee tomorrow. Tennessee sweeping Kentucky during the regular season. That should be a good one on ESPN.
And you got to wonder if either of those teams is going to miss, because neither one of them look like they could miss in the semifinals. How about Kentucky? 81% from the floor in the second half. And Tennessee, they couldn't miss in the first half when they shot it at over 70%.
Wenyon Gabriel 7 for 7 from 3 for the Wildcats today. As Navigado hits for Toledo. They're shooting well here in the first half, and they lead by 3 over the 1 seed.
And they've got to be able to convert at a high rate to stay in this ball game, and they have, and they're very capable of that.
Massenberg answers back. Banks shut off the window.
Yeah, he didn't call it, but he'll take it.
Both of these teams shooting well over 50% out of the gate in this ballgame.
And in the first matchup, both teams shot 54% from the field. So neither team's been able to stop the other in either meeting so far.
Oh, that's a nice move from Willie Jackson, who had a great game yesterday.
And he got so much of his work done in the post like he did on that possession.
Another Mizzou transfer who was taking Fletcher's spot in the lineup. And Carruthers, a hard-working junior from Rochester, New York, he has his first bucket tonight for Buffalo.
And at 6'1", he finishes as well at the rim, Clay, as you're going to see from any guard. Shoots it at 61% because he drives and finishes.
Inside, Willie Jackson. Nice adjustment. Nothing to show for it.
May have gotten away with a little bit of a shove in the back to get open.
Well, Buffalo would like to get Massenberg going. He misses from 3. Marion Jackson to Konopke. Doesn't get the shot to go, but he's fouled by Ikenna Smart, his first.
And that was an impressive catch by Konopke on the run. Good look by Jackson, but it looked like Konopke may have been in a tough spot, but the big guy showing you he is quick on his feet to come up with this catch. Threads it right through, but Konopke able to make the catch and get it up to the rim.
Luke Konopke, the 6'11 sophomore from Maria Stein, Ohio, in beautiful Western Ohio.
And he's a guy redshirted his first year, at a solid freshman year last year, and has continued to blossom this year, averaging in double figures. Todd Kowalczyk really likes his upside. He's got great size, and in a couple of years, he's got a chance to be a dominant big in this league.
Yeah, you can see that there's room to add to that frame. Perkins doesn't get it to go with that left hand. Carruthers kept it alive for Buffalo, and again, showing great hustle.
And we saw that throughout the semifinal win against Kent State.
Goes, attacks, and scores.
Yeah, and so many guards can get there and can't finish. He finishes the deal. That is a tough finish in traffic through contact.
The Buffalo crowd making some noise here in Cleveland. Tied at 21. Gatto kicks it across. Alderson working hard on the baseline. Right hand, no good. Long rebound to Harris. And he'll pull it back out. Just over 7 to go here in the half.
And Konopke trying to guard him. That's a mismatch.
Well, that was falling last night for Harris. There's a foul underneath. And 7:06 to go here in the first half. Carruthers, great effort.
Well, and you've got to bring the energy, and here's a guy that not only brings the energy, but he finishes play. His ability to get by guys and finish at the rim, one of the reasons why the Bulls have it tied back up.
Back in Cleveland, MAC title game. Presented by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. Toledo and Buffalo knotted up at 21. NBA Sunday comes to you from Staples Center. LeBron and the Cleveland Cavs take on former Cav Isaiah Thomas and the Lakers. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ESPN. Cavs currently leading the Central Division. They've hung 3 straight Eastern Conference banners here at Quicken Loans Arena. And LeBron says, Rob, that he's only thinking about hanging another banner here at the Q and not about free agency. You buying that?
Well, so it's not going to be the winner gets LeBron? Or how about maybe the loser takes down silly billboards
there you
up
go.
In your city?
Yeah. It has been an interesting week in that saga. Be a fun one tonight. Perkins inside for Buffalo. It's going to stay with the Bulls with 29 on the shot clock.
And Perkins has had a hard time of it inside. Konopke's size has bothered him, even with Konopke on the bench right now. Toledo doing a good job of not allowing Perkins to get going.
And we talked about points in the paint. 80 points in the paint for Buffalo the last 2 games. And that's going to be an offensive foul against Perkins in the lane.
Fouls on Nick Perkins, his first, team 4. And a Smart.
Well, Adway moves his feet, beats Perkins to the spot. Perkins gets that off arm out. That's an easy call to send it the other way.
So Perkins will go to the bench. Smart back in, number 34 for Buffalo. 6'10" Nigerian having a nice tournament. Who's got the advantage right now, Rob?
Well, I'll tell you what, Toledo, if they continue to execute in their half-court offense the way that they have, they can hang in there. But advantage still, you would think, has got to be to Buffalo.
That's off the mark for Sanford. Jalen Sanford doesn't miss that shot too often. Carruthers drives the extra pass to Smart, out of bounds. And a player control foul against the Bulls. Carruthers.
And the second time that Adway has slid over, given up his body. See Carruthers with the head of steam trying to get into the lane. He's going to dump it off to Smart, but instead, another charge picked up by Adway.
That's their second on Carruthers. So Nate Oates is going to take him out. Last year's Defensive Player of the Year.
And 6 turnovers already for Buffalo after having just 8 the other night.
Well, in that Bowling Green game at the end of the regular season, they scored 50 points in the first half and didn't have 1 turnover at the break.
You talk about offensive execution. I had that game. They were absolutely on a roll. They didn't pick up their first turnover till the 10-minute mark of the second half, and that was on an offensive foul on a post-up.
Both teams have cooled off now. Here is Graves in transition. Boy, that was halfway down and spun out.
Toledo runs real good half-court offense, and they're an elite execution team.
Adway! He can't get it to go, but he'll find his way to the line. That was on Smart, his second personal.
Now, these are the 2 best rebounding teams in the MAC. Buffalo the last couple nights hasn't shot it as well as they have, but they've gotten a ton of offensive rebound opportunities. But they gave up 19 offensive rebound opportunities last night to Kent State. Toledo's starting to get a couple extra possessions off the glass.
Leading scorers in this tournament for the Toledo Rockets, Sanford and Kanopke in the quarterfinals, and the 2 Jacksons last night. Fletcher has been the leading man this year for Toledo, but without him on his game in the quarterfinals and without him at all last night, they have found a way. Smart rolling to the hoop draws the contact.
And last night it was 2 guys who stepped up back here at home in Cleveland, and both Jacksons with career highs. Willie Jackson with 18 points to go along with 10 rebounds. 13 of those were in the second half. And obviously, Marion Jackson with the 2 biggest shots of the game. Wasn't just the game winner. How about the game that the shot that tied it up with 1 second on the shot clock, 45 seconds in the game to tie it up. That was the crazier, more difficult shot of the 2.
Had to be a surreal moment for those 2 young men last night. Former high school teammates from just down the road. They were at the podium last night for the post-game press conference talking about career nights in the MAC tournament semis.
Yeah, pretty cool setting.
Smart making it 23-22. Buffalo pulls to within 1 as you see the young head coach Nate Oates, 42 years old, trying to get back to the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years. Toledo's gone cold. They have missed 6 straight from the field. Willie Jackson over the top of Harris. Wow. Clark got on a ladder and pulled down that rebound.
He's a big-time athlete.
A little out of control. Extra pass to Smart. And Smart flushes it down.
How about the hang time by Clark to not come down and travel with the basketball? As we said, he's an elite athlete. One of the reasons why he started his career at Missouri.
Buffalo goes back in front. And they're going to get it back. Sanford with the offensive foul.
Well, this is a pretty nice luxury when your point guard can go rip it down, rebound above the rim, gets out in transition, looked like he was going to be in trouble, nearly turned it over. How about that athleticism to be able to find Smart for the high percentage dunk?
And so Sanford is going to sit down with 2 personals. That's significant.
Yeah, because as I said when I talked to Todd Kowalczyk earlier today, he said Sanford's got to play like an all-league player. He was second-team All-MAC. He didn't have that type of game in the semis. He did in the quarters. And he thought that if they were going to win here tonight, that Sanford was going to have a big game. Oh, great D.
Marion Jackson is to take it away 2-on-1 for the Bulls. Alley-oop. Harris, the adjustment, but couldn't get it to go. He'll track it down, though, out on the perimeter.
Boy, the Bulls have really locked in defensively last couple of minutes.
Massenberg. Here comes Toledo on the run. Navigado.
Great ball fake.
Missed the 3. Jackson underneath. Can't control the rebound. And Massenberg starts it up the floor for Harris. Harris around. Navigado got him.
Well, that's a mismatch. He's got great quickness to blow by guys, kind of skates by people out on the perimeter. You got to run at him, especially the way he's been shooting it from beyond the 3 with 10 made threes here in the tournament. And when you do close out, he's got you beat.
He's got 5 now. 3-point lead for Buffalo. Jackson saves it. 9 straight missed shots for the Rockets.
But the amazing thing, Toledo still only trails by 3 because they've done a good job at this end as well.
Wes Clark, yes.
You get the sense that he's starting to heat up. Hasn't played well the first 2 games of the tournament, but he's got the ability to stretch it out. Buffalo up 5, back after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance.
All right, we'll see you in 2:47, Kevin. Kansas going for an 11th Big 12 tournament title tonight. What a year for the Jayhawks, considering what they lost, what they didn't have. Bill Self, maybe his best coaching job in Lawrence this year.
I mean, to break the record of John Wooden with 14 consecutive conference regular season championships is incredible, and what Dante Graham has done coming down the stretch certainly puts him in the National Player of the Year conversation.
It's an 11-3 run for the Buffalo Bulls, and they've got the ball back. Off the steal, Jordan, look out, lays it in.
Well, he's come up with 3 great defensive plays. He was a member of the MAC All-Defensive Team, and he's been locking down here as of late.
It's been 6.5 minutes since Toledo sunk a bucket.
Yeah, missed shots, and they've had empty trips because they've turned the ball over.
Jackson finally gets one for the Rockets. And one, but he's slow to get up.
Well, Jordan's put so much pressure on the basketball defensively, you've got to be able to have a counter for that. And that counter is putting the ball to the deck and trying to get by him. Good first step right there. It looks like Tiki Barker as he's going through traffic as he wraps the ball up high. Tom Coughlin would be proud, and that's how you go finish.
Well, these Toledo Rockets trying to win a men's basketball championship in the MAC, just like the football team did in the MAC this year.
looking to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 38 years. They won the very first MAC championship back in 1980, and since then they've not been able to cut down the nets and get to the NCAA tournament.
It's been a long drought. Could be an historic night for these Toledo Rockets. Playing with the 1 seed right now, down 4.
And come out and go zone here. Remember, Sanford has 2 fouls, the ability to try to protect him with those 2.
And Perkins travel, turnover Buffalo.
And caught Buffalo off guard a bit with that first possession of zone.
And there you see Toledo hasn't reached the NCAA tournament since Jimmy Carter was still in office. Second longest drought in the MAC. Bowling Green has the longest.
Yeah, they go back to the Nixon administration.
Yeah. Very good. Your presidential history is impeccable. And Perkins with another rebound for Buffalo's. Toledo continues to stay more cold than hot. And a second chance opportunity for Buffalo. Perkins going right at Konopke. That line drive layup attempt doesn't go. Minute 15 to play first half. In and out for Konopke.
A good look, though, on the pick and pop.
Clark's going to show some patience here. Clark is the only guy Buffalo will lose for sure next year. The only senior. This guy's going to be favored again next season. Clark around everybody and in.
Well, dribble penetration against the 2-3 zone. As we said, hard to keep Clark out of the lane. Turns the corner and gets where he wants off the bounce.
He's got 9 here in the first half. 10-second differential between game and shot clock. Sanford threw Jordan to the deck. No whistle, and he knocks down the triple.
And that is a huge play right there. That would have been his 3rd foul. Certainly there was contact.
Buffalo calls a timeout. We step aside with 17 seconds to go in the half. We have said that Jalen Sanford has made a lot of big shots this year for Toledo. Here's another one.
Here's a big one. Good defense right there. Certainly Jordan thought he was in good position. Instead, Sanford able to knock down the 3. He had a huge 3 last night. They were down by 5 and were teetering late in that second half. That was a huge play because that would have been, if they called a charge there, and certainly there was enough contact, looked like his arm was off. A couple of guys sitting just to the left of us were up, motioning to the officials. Obviously, they're Buffalo fans, but no whistle.
Play-matic Rob Kennedy here courtside. Final seconds of the first half. Clark, he's done that a few times here in the first half. At the horn. Won't go. 34-29 Buffalo at the half. Wes Clark with 11 in the first 20 minutes.
And he's been able to turn the corner. That time it was against the 1-3-1. Came out for the first possession of it. But Clark just blew by the double. Able to get the finish.
34-29 Buffalo leading the MAC title game. Time for the Audi halftime report. Kevin, Dan, and Fonz. Welcome back to Champ Week, presented by Principal. You're watching the 2018 MAC Basketball Tournament, presented by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. Getting ready for the second half. It's a 5-point difference. 1-seed Buffalo leading the 2-seed Toledo 34-29 at the break. Back here courtside in Cleveland alongside Rob Kennedy. I'm Clay Matvick. A lot working against Toledo in that first half. First of all, they're without the MAC Player of the Year, Trayshawn Fletcher, tonight, out with a knee injury. And they went 7 minutes without making a bucket, but they're in this game.
Yeah, when you look at all the stats, you say, how are they in the game? They haven't rebounded the basketball, got beat up on the boards by 8. They haven't shot it well, just 3 of 10 from beyond the three-point line. Yet they're still in the ball game because they have gutted it out. They've had a couple of gritty stops themselves, especially in transition.
You know, some of the stars we talked about at the top of the broadcast haven't materialized with great games, including Harris for Buffalo, but other guys picking it up like Clark.
Well, Clark's a guy that can score. He's their 4th leading scorer. Right now, the other 3 guys are a combined 4 of 17 in Harris, Massenberg, and Perkins. But Clark is incredibly quick. He's a big-time athlete, and he's been able to consistently beat guys off the bounce. And then, unlike he's done the first 2 games of the MAC tournament, he's finished tonight when he's been able to get to the rim. They've needed all of those 11 points to have this halftime lead.
And Buffalo starts with the ball here in the second half. Winner on to the NCAA tournament.
And Toledo stays in the zone that we saw the last couple of possessions of the first half.
See points in the paint.
And tonight they've been a little different, Clay. They haven't been as many post-ups from Perkins. Perkins just 1 of 8 from the floor. They've been dribble drives and finishes at the rim by Carruthers and Clark.
Still a plus 16 in this game inside the lane. Perkins, that line drive arc. It's unbelievable. He gets another 3. How that goes in is beyond me.
I guarantee you he is one heck of a dart player because he throws darts on the basketball court.
Comes out of his hand so fast, there's a paper trail behind it. No arc on it at all. Biggest lead of the game now for the Bulls. Konopki. Well, if he can get that going, Toledo's going to hang around.
Yeah, he was just 1 of 5 from the floor in that first half. And Buffalo just 7 3-point attempts before that attempt by Perkins from beyond the 3. Good extra pass.
Everybody getting a touch. Clark from 3.
And that's the danger about playing zone against this Buffalo team. They've got so many guys that share the basketball and so many guys that can knock down a 3 once you make that extra pass.
Clark has made his last 6 field goal attempts. Lead is 9. 2 minutes into the second half. Konopki lost his dribble. Shot clock winding down at 5. Willie Jackson rolling. And he is fouled by Perkins. And that's 2 on Nick. Here's that 3 from Nick Perkins.
Well, they only had 2 threes in the first half. They've got 2 threes already here in the first 2 minutes. Nice extra pass. And as we said, everybody shares the basketball. But, Clay, when you throw it to a guy that can make shots, you got a chance to get an assist.
Now, you've been coaching basketball a long time. When a guy has that kind of delivery, as long as it's working, you don't mess with it, right?
No, and as we've said, it is absolutely on a line drive. It's really good around the basket, but surprisingly, he's able to score it at a decent percentage from deep. 32% on the season, and he's taken over 103.
6'8" junior, 250 pounds from Ypsilanti. And that's a foul on Konopki.
Line violation. He was in too soon.
Yep.
So it takes a point. Yeah, it takes a point off the board. Todd Kowalczyk's team can't afford that. Points have been hard to come by. Back to the man-to-man after a couple of possessions of zone to start the second. That's what happens. You knock down a couple of threes, and if you're not a zone team, you get out of it.
Wow. Wes Clark has taken over this game. 16 points for Clark.
That is a big finish right there. Huge basket for Toledo.
He's in double figures now for the Rockets, trying to keep pace.
And you get the sense, Clay, a couple of times Toledo's been teetering, but they make a big shot to keep them within striking distance.
And one and done, Buffalo on that trip. So a chance for Toledo to pull within striking distance here of the Bulls. Toledo needs a run.
Yeah, they've got to get the type of start they had to the first half when they knocked down 6 out of their first 10.
Now Marion Jackson fouled trying to shoot.
Well, here's Clark spinning, doing whatever he can, not just getting to the rim, but he's been able to finish. Look at this tight spin, and then explodes off the floor to be able to finish at the rim.
Clark just picked up his second foul for Buffalo. And Perkins was just teed up.
Yeah, Perkins ended up picking up the tee, which, remember, that's a personal foul as well.
So he's got 3.
He kind of pounded the basketball to the deck in frustration after the whistle.
Here's what happened. Perkins, after the play, grabs the ball, and there's the technical foul. That's the 3rd on Perkins. He's the first player in this game to get to 3 persons.
Well, if you're going to pound it, you got to catch it off the ground. Can't let it get up over top of the basket and give the officials the ability to call a cheap tee.
So Perkins is going to sit down. Sanford at the line for 2 technical foul shots, and he is an 85% free throw shooter, the top free throw shooter in the MAC.
So mark that down, Clay. That can be the type of play that turns things around. It gets Perkins back to the bench. He was frustrated all in that first half. Didn't shoot the ball well, was just 1 of 8. Frustrated now that he picked up that tee.
And now Jackson goes back to the line. He still has to complete his 2 foul shots when he was fouled by Clark. So 3 free throws in a row, and it's a 5-point difference.
And just again, when it looked like Toledo was teetering, just hanging in there, that Buffalo, if they got on a bit of a run, got a couple of stops, might be able to separate it out. Here comes Toledo. Todd Kowalczyk's team just hanging around, fighting, battling, and now they've got the lead down to 4.
That's been the story of this tournament for the Rockets, just gritty.
Yeah.
You can never knock them out.
Think about losing a guy like Fletcher, scores it at 18 a game, 8 rebounds and 4 assists. That's not only a lot of points to lose, that's a ton of plays throughout the game.
That foul on Willie Jackson, 2 on Jackson. And Smart is going to go to the line for Buffalo. Now, when it comes to free throws, Robin, you touched on this earlier for the Bulls. They're 69% as a team, ranks near the bottom of the MAC. A couple of starters shooting under 49%, including Smart, who's at 44% on the year.
And that's the problem. They've got a couple of guys, their leading scorers are all pretty good from the line. But Smart and Jordan, 2 of those guys that really pull that number down.
There's Fletcher, MAC Player of the Year for Toledo, on the bench tonight because of that knee injury. He's going to have an MRI tomorrow.
Had such a great first season after transferring in, sitting out last year. Transferring in from Colorado and made the most of his one-and-done season here for Toledo.
So Smart, despite that rotten percentage at the line this year, gets them both. He goes back to 6 for the Bulls. Sanford thought about it, penetrates, free throw line pull-up. Willie Jackson, strong rebound, and the stick back.
Well, they didn't really have any extra opportunities in the first half with just 2 offensive boards. But Willie Jackson with his athleticism once again.
Man, nobody can cool off Wes Clark.
And it's amazing, coming in the first 2 games in this building, he was 0 for 9 inside the 3-point line. Couldn't finish at the rim, couldn't hit pull-ups. Tonight, all he's doing is finishing at the rim and hitting up pull-up.
This team became a dangerous NCAA tournament contender when he became eligible in mid-December.
Yeah, remember a couple of their losses out of conference early on against Cincinnati, South Dakota State, and St. Bonnie's were without Clark.
Floating it up there. Sanford can't get it to go. Kept alive on the baseline by Jackson. But he has it taken away by Smart.
Great effort, though, by Jackson.
Harris blocked by Konopka.
Great weak side help.
It's been an off night for Harris comparative to last night. Jackson for three.
Yeah, Harris after going for 27 the first night and 22 the last night. It's been quiet.
Carruthers is going to be called for the foul going back for his miss. And we step aside. 14:32 to go here at the Q in Cleveland.
Presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and Courtyard, Fairfield, 4 Points, and Spring Hill Suites. We live by the golden rule.
Buffalo leading by 6 here in the MAC championship game. One of 14 tickets punched here today. Toledo, great performance in the semis from the Jacksons. Maction Jackson last night for the Toledo Rockets.
How about two guys from Cleveland, not related, went to the same high school, Garfield Heights. You see, back in high school, they had a good run, got themselves to the state Final Four. And last night, they played like high school teammates who are just having some fun out there in a championship setting, both going for career nights.
Willie Jackson, the sophomore, only his 20th game tonight. He didn't become eligible until December. Also missed 5 games with injury. And what a time to turn it on for Willie Jackson, Marion Jackson. And the Toledo Rockets are getting great efforts from everybody, with the MAC Player of the Year, Trayshawn Fletcher, out again tonight with that left knee injury. He has been essentially a non-factor for the Rockets here in Cleveland this week.
They're coming out of the timeout. They're trying to get the ball to Sanford.
Sanford got the shot. They're going to call a timeout. That is Willie Jackson taking a full timeout. We're going to go back to break. 14:07 to go here at the Q. Back in a moment. Buffalo trying to get to its 3rd NCAA tournament in 4 years. Toledo trying to get back for the first time since 1980. Well, coming up tomorrow on Selection Sunday at 7 Eastern, it's Bracketology with Reese and the gang. They'll have complete breakdowns of each region. SportsCenter starts us off at 5 Eastern on ESPN with the reveal of the men's field as the teams are announced. Now, Trae Young, the candidate most of the year for Player of the Year that everyone thought was a shoo-in. He and his Sooners, they're on the bubble. Right now, Joe has him as one of the last 4 in, Rob.
Well, you look at how they finished the season. Arizona State doing the same thing. When you don't win games coming down the stretch, you go from solidly in to having to sweat it out on Selection Sunday.
16 teams have punched tickets to the NCAA tournament so far on the men's side. 4 minutes away from doing a ticket punch here in the MAC.
Well, Toledo got beat up on the boards in the first half, Clay, but they're doing the damage here in the second half. They've out-rebounded Buffalo by 6 here. A lot of that with Perkins on the bench, going to the bench after he picked up that 3rd personal when he got the tee.
Just 5 to shoot for the Rockets. Navigado, he has been quiet offensively. That's going to be a foul offensively against Navigado. Boy, Nate Navigado, who originally signed with Buffalo but shifted gears after Bobby Hurley left, has had a tough last couple of nights.
Oh, because guys are running him off the 3-point line. You see, getting into the lane, Clark, great defense. Sliding over, gave up his body. That's an easy one. Navigado's a catch-and-shoot guy, but Eastern Michigan zone didn't allow him to do that after he went off for 8 threes last time they played.
It's not the side of the backboard for Massillon. It's on Massenberg, his first. Fifth foul on Buffalo here in the half. Under 13 and a half to go. This would be a huge upset for Toledo without Fletcher. Buffalo's on the run with a 6-point lead. Clark, he's had a great game. Feeds the corner. Graves doesn't get it to go. Harris keeps it alive for the Bulls. And he'll shoot from the corner. Just hasn't felt it tonight.
No, and Buffalo just hasn't been able to find the mark here in the second half. Really struggling from the field.
Navigado. Yes! Well, maybe that's a sign he's ready to get lathered up.
Well, you and I were talking about it off camera on the break, that he's the guy, if all of a sudden you're hanging around, if you can get him some open looks in transition or early offense, watch out.
There's Clark. He's carried the team. The stick back by McRae.
Oh, McRae with a big second chance opportunity right there. In the semis against Kent, Kent fought back, got the lead down, and then it was offensive rebounding that bailed the Bulls out.
Konopke's going to go to the line for Toledo. McRae with that blocking foul. His second. And that is the 6th team foul against Buffalo already here in the half. So Toledo will be at the line the rest of the half.
Well, Clark with a nice turn around. That's a tough finish, but McRae right there with the open lane to the offensive rebound because the defense had to rotate over to try and challenge Clark.
Nick Perkins is going to come back in for Buffalo. He'll be playing with 3 fouls. Konopke with some nice touch. And it's a 3-point game. 12:20 to play.
And that's right where Toledo wants to be. Hang around, stay within a little bit of a distance so that if all of a sudden you get hot from 3, you got a puncher's chance.
Konopke called for the foul. He thought he had a clean block.
You got a lot of basketball there. Looked like it was good post defense by Konopke. Perkins comes into the game, and you got to like the way they go right at the big fella. Gets deep enough into the lane. Konopke thought he had a good piece of the basketball, thought he was straight up. Instead, Perkins with an opportunity to get 2 from the line.
Here's Todd Kowalczyk, Toledo head coach. Very intense head coach. He was at Green Bay for 8 years. After a time as an assistant at Rutgers and Marquette.
And he's done a really good job of turning this program around. They went 4-28 in his first year, but since then, they've been able to challenge consistently in the MAC. Nice pick and pop.
Konopke, a 41% three-point shooter. Doesn't take advantage of that opportunity. Lead is 4 for the Bulls. He's shooting 46% from the field in this game. Clark has 18 to lead the way. It's a bad turnover by Jordan. Willie Jackson knifing in, handed the ball by Sanford.
And the turnover leads to a quick basket at the other side. You're right, Jordan got himself into the lane, was out of control, and now the Toledo fans sensing that their team just keeps scrapping and fighting.
Harris! Man, it had been a while since he hit a basket, and he hushes that Toledo crowd momentarily.
Just a bit, gets them back out to that 5-point cushion.
He hit a 3 in the first half. It's his first triple since. Now the game has tightened up considerably. Toledo in this game down just 5 midway through the second. Clay Matvick and the great Rob Kennedy back here courtside at Quicken Loans Arena. 52-47. The MAC championship game, part of Champ Week presented by Principal. You know, and if known that Trayshawn Fletcher was going to be on the sideline tonight, I don't think most people would have given Toledo a chance. But after we saw how they played without him last night, I think Toledo felt pretty good coming into this game. You can see that he's in the top 5 in all these categories. Of course, the MAC Player of the Year. And here again, late in this game, Toledo's hanging around with the 1 seed.
And again, that's a ton to replace, not just his points, but how he affects the game. Think about the first time these two teams met. He went for 27 in 25 minutes and was 10 of 14 from the floor. But the hustle, the effort, the grittiness shown right there by Willie Jackson again on the offensive glass. That's his 4th offensive rebound here in the second half after having a goose egg in the first half. So it's that energy, that effort, and that belief that they can win.
How about Willie Jackson showing the emotion underneath the hoop? He just pounds the standard. Look at that, like a Vander Holyfield taking a right-hand hook.
And that's what his team's been doing. They've been jabbing. And if they can just kind of stay in the fight long enough, I'm telling you, they've got 3-point shooters that all of a sudden can throw a knockout punch late.
Willie Jackson at the line, misses the foul shot. And now, did they call for a review? Because we've got Lamont Simpson over at the scorer's table right now. Time has been called. Play has been halted. Are they potentially, Rob, going to look back at that reaction underneath the basket from Willie Jackson and potentially give him a technical?
I don't think that's what they're looking at. I think they may have been checking to see who they called the foul on, is my guess.
Yeah.
Because there were 3 guys going up for it. So there was a signal by the alternate official over on the sideline.
Apparently
they get the foul to Harris on that play.
First on Jeremy Harris. So Willie Jackson makes it 52-48, 4-point difference. Perkins.
Wow. That is muscle on muscle. Konopke just holding his ground, but Perkins having none of it, just powered right through.
Perkins now with 9.
And every time Navigado catches the basketball, there's a white jersey in his grill.
Navigado with just 5 points in this game.
Wow.
There's Sanford scoring for Toledo.
And that was great post defense by Perkins, making sure that he didn't give up the foul, but a great finish high off the glass by Sanford.
Jalen Sanford with 14.
When you're off balance, you don't know what's going on, throw it on the glass, give it a chance.
Harris, who couldn't miss last night, or the night before for that matter, a little off in this game. Jackson dropping it down for Konopke, and he's fouled.
A great recognition in the half court. Konopke on the switch had a huge size advantage, able to dump it in.
Carruthers just picked up his 4th for Buffalo, and he's going to head to the bench.
Konopke, shooting 2.
Konopke's going to go to the line for Toledo. 18th foul on Buffalo. Don't forget Champ Week presented by Principal. Rolls on tomorrow at 1 Eastern. Kentucky and Tennessee will be a good one for the SEC Championship in St. Louis. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 17 assists, 2 turnovers. That's it, 2 turnovers in the tournament so far for Kentucky. What a point guard he is. We got a game here in Cleveland.
And the longer that Toledo keeps hanging around, the pressure starts to mount for Buffalo.
Not that time for Perkins. Once a 10-point lead for Buffalo is just 2, Toledo could take the lead with an outside shot.
And first couple of times, Clay, you start sensing that Buffalo may be getting a little tight.
Under 9 we go. Jackson. Bad pass picked off. Here comes Javon Graves. Graves is going to take it himself.
Oh, wow.
Flips it back, and he'll go to the line.
Now, he had a big game in the quarterfinals when he went for 8 points, 3 blocks in 18 important minutes. Goes right at the shot blocker, not once but twice. Able to go against Navigato initially, and then when Konopke came over to challenge, Graves was up for the challenge. Big finish right there. Struggling offensively. Started with the bad turnover on the other end that allows Buffalo to get out in transition.
How about the freshman? This stage is not too big for the hyper-athletic Javon Graves. Of course, you talked about it earlier, Robbie won a state title in this building here last year.
Yeah, neither one of the freshmen playing meaningful minutes is this stage been too big.
57-52, Sanford, finger roll, no.
But Jackson kept it alive.
And 3 doesn't go. Navigato will get another chance. The blow by, yes! Nate Navigato.
Well, you could hear the collective sigh when he missed the first 3-point attempt, but credit Willie Jackson. His effort on the offensive glass kept it alive.
Wes Clark off the heel. Massenberg with a second chance opportunity here for Buffalo.
And he's been quiet throughout this whole tournament. Massenberg, the leading scorer on the season, has been held in check again tonight.
Perkins just muscles his way to the basket.
Talk about putting a defender in jail. Just gets him deep underneath the bucket so that the shot blocker has no chance to challenge and affect it.
Perkins has 8 since halftime. He's sitting on 11.
And he's been bullying and just bullying his way to the basket.
Sanford can't finish. Jordan comes out of there with it. Clark the trailer. Massenberg all day to shoot.
And they've had a couple of those, Clay. Plenty of time to shoot an open 3, but they haven't been able to find the mark. Not their best shooting night, for sure.
Toledo trying to pull a huge upset. Without their player of the year, Rashawn Fletcher, trying to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1980. Holding call out high with 3 seconds on the shot clock.
Oh, Perkins just trying to take the game over. The MAC 6th man of the year. Start to make his presence felt inside. Bulls hanging on to the 4-point lead.
Yeah, that's in Katy, Texas. We'll be going there after this one here in Cleveland. Thanks, Kevin. 59-55. Buffalo, the 1 seed, went wire to wire to win the MAC regular season for the first time in program history. Trying to close out Toledo, this scrappy bunch for Coach Todd Kowalczyk. Sanford at the line for the Rockets.
And that's a bad play as we head into break because Stanford's been struggling to score the basketball. He's just 1 for 8 from the field, but you bail him out. Remember, terrific foul shooter, one of the best in the MAC at 85%. Not what Nate Oates was looking for on that defensive possession.
Sanford rarely misses at the line, gets them both. Back to a 2-point game.
And as we said, the longer this game goes on, the more the pressure certainly falls on Buffalo.
Clark fouled in midair. And Wesley Clark, who's a 73% shooter at the line. We'll go to the stripe. You see the bench points. And there's been like that all year. Buffalo has such depth. They've got 4 guys averaging 14 points per game, 9 guys averaging at least 12 minutes. Nate Oates' bunch kind of comes at you in waves.
Yeah, and they have that luxury when one guy's off. And think about it, C.J. Massenberg hasn't played to his normal level throughout this tournament, yet they're still right here in the championship with a 4-point lead because other guys, including Wes Clark tonight, are able to step up.
Toledo with 5 team fouls, so still 1 to give, 6.5 to go. Jackson drives.
Great hustle. Look at that play by Clark.
Clark gets it to Perkins, and Buffalo's able to clear. Everybody getting a touch. Massenberg rattles the iron.
And how many times have we seen that? You can't have a better play. Possession from one end of the floor with a great defensive effort and a great sharing of the basketball for a wide open 3 at the other end. But you come up empty.
Every possession magnified now as we go under 6 minutes. Another steal as Clark had a part of that one too. Carruthers. And Massenberg stepped on the line. He gives it right back to the Rockets.
Yeah, just the second turnover here in this second half for Buffalo, but a costly one. Missed opportunities for Buffalo. Last 2 trips up the floor for Nate Oates' team. Great energy on the defensive end, but they haven't been able to convert those opportunities at the other end.
See if Toledo can make him pay.
Running Sanford off baseline screen.
Bingo! Sanford from the wing.
Well, that's what they were looking for. He moved so well without the basketball. Was 1 for his last 8. But now you make it 2 for 9 to cut it to 1.
8 in the second half. He's got 16. Clark. Yes.
Well, he just decided, you know what? Enough of this. I'm just going to isolate and go one-on-one.
$20 for Clark. He averages 14. Navigado. Here's Jackson, who was the hero last night.
Wow.
And he gets a 3 from that corner.
Yeah, been quiet, got off to a quick start to the game, was making a lot of noise. But his 3 gets some noise out of the Toledo cheering section.
That's his second triple tonight. And he's going to be called for the foul on this side of the floor, where the stars are shining bright in this championship game.
And going back and forth, Clark just going one-on-one isolation, says, get out of my way, I've got this. And the guy who was the hero last night, Marion Jackson, quiet throughout most of the last 20 minutes, makes some noise.
Wow, Clark quickly gives Buffalo the lead back.
And he elevates so quickly and so high on that pull-up jump shot.
13 in the second half for Clark. Sanford looking for help.
And great defense on the ball by Carruthers.
Marion Jackson. 5 to shoot. Kanapke stripped. Jackson lost it at his feet. 1 on the shot clock. I'm going to call a push. It's going to go against Toledo right as the shot clock buzzer went off.
And it's not just Wes Clark taking the game over at the offensive end. It's him taking over the game on the defensive end with great effort and great hustle.
65-63. The MAC title game getting long in the tooth. It's going to come down to the wire.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by VisitMyrtleBeach.com. Go visit MyrtleBeach.com to plan your vacation today. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The MAC title game. A 2-point difference with under 4 to go, Rob.
Buffalo hasn't played a whole lot of close games throughout this season, and they haven't had great success in one-possession games. Take a look inside. They were trying to confirm whether or not this indeed was a 3 or a 2. During the break, they confirmed that it was a 3-point field goal by Jackson.
And Jackson now 2 for 5 from 3. He's got 13 points. And Toledo, they have shown such heart and such great character the last couple of nights without their star.
And here's what we were starting to talk about. Buffalo, they haven't played a lot of close games, just 1 and 3 in games decided by 3 or less. Toledo, they're used to scrapping, fighting. Now, they usually do it with Trayshawn Fletcher, the player of the year, but they're doing the same without him. 7 and 2 in games decided by 5 or fewer, including the first 2 rounds of the MAC tournament.
1-and-1 opportunity here for Wes Clark. Got to ask you, Rob, you know, Toledo in that late game last night with Eastern Michigan, they didn't get out of here to close to midnight. Any fatigue becoming a factor, especially with Fletcher on the bench for the Rockets here late?
Yeah, but you're playing on such adrenaline right now, you're not worrying about that.
Got them both. 67-63 Buffalo. Sanford turnaround jumper.
That's a tough shot.
Marion Jackson didn't get the roll.
And that was a tough shot by Sanford because it was terrific on-the-ball defense against him. Tell you what, Buffalo hasn't played their best offensive game, but they have played one heck of a defensive game.
Clark, Perkins was stripped.
Wow.
Went right back to him.
Great defense by Toledo.
Now Jackson with his head up. Swings it to Navigado. His 3 off the mark.
Wow, 2 good looks from 3. That would have cut it to a 2-point game. A 1-point game, excuse me.
Under 3 we go. Line drive 3. Perkins.
As we said, he was struggling mightily coming in. He was 0 for 8 in their last 5 games from 3, but he's hit a pair of them here tonight. And this is where you really miss Fletcher.
Kanapke.
That's where you're going to your Player of the Year candidate. Ball's going to be in his hands. Last couple of possessions, Toledo hasn't gotten great look. And Carruthers is limping down in the deep corner. And Nate Oates, realizing that, calls a timeout. That is a smart timeout to get Carruthers out.
He's in pain. We'll be back in a moment. Buffalo junior Dante Carruthers is now up to the bench. He was down on the floor moments ago. Missed 11 games earlier with a leg injury. Don't know if he re-aggravated that same injury, but Perkins, his second 3 of the half, and it's a big basket for the Bulls, leading 70-63 with just over 2 minutes to go.
Well, he kept him under wraps in the first half. He was just 1 for 8 and 0 for 2 from beyond the 3-point line. But here in the second half, he has come to play.
And Buffalo has the ball, 2:13 left on the clock. Toledo has gone cold. Meanwhile, Buffalo taking advantage. Great pass. Poked away. Loose. Willie Jackson, getting down on the floor.
And how about the smart heads-up play by the freshman, Marion Jackson, calling the timeout to save the possession as his former high school teammate Willie Jackson goes to the floor to come up with the steal. How about Buffalo had just 2 turnovers in that entire second half prior to that possession. Big turnover and big steal by Toledo.
This has been a great championship game here tonight. It's been a great tournament again this year in Cleveland. That's what the MAC is known for. March Madness, of course, 1990, Ball State made a great run to the Sweet 16. Eastern Michigan in 91. And then Wally's World, Wally Zerbiak in 99, helping Miami have some great years, including a Sweet 16 year. Kent State made it all the way to the Elite Eight as a 10 seed in 02. And John Gross's Bobcats of Ohio in 2012 made it to the Sweet 16. Of course, John is back in the MAC.
When you think about all those trips to the Sweet 16, it's surprising that the MAC has been a one-bid league for that long. You look at the RPI of Buffalo. Coming in, Joe Lunardi has them as a 12 seed. A lot of talk about whether or not they could win a game in the tournament. Got to get there first.
Toledo's gone almost 3 minutes without a basket. Perkins got it up and in.
Just pulling his way to the basket as we've seen throughout this second half.
Leaders 9. Willie Jackson, the crossover in front of Harris, and he'll be on the line.
On credit Jackson, he's the guy that initiates the contact there against Harris. For as good as Jeremy Harris is on the offensive end, not the best defender for this Buffalo team. Recognized that he had the defensive assignment, went right at him to try and get himself to the line.
Willie Jackson shooting 2.
So here's Willie Jackson. 8 points tonight. Got to convert those.
Yeah, got to convert those. Just a 59% shooter from the line on the season. Here's where Toledo's got to make this, get up into the full court pressure. They're going to have to force some turnovers with their full court pressure. Problem is, Buffalo takes good care of the basketball, and they've got a lot of guys that can handle it.
Willie Jackson 1 point shy of a double-double tonight for Toledo. They get it in. Full court pressure. Clark having trouble. Oh, and pounding his fist down on the floor. And as Jackson knew he nearly had that steal.
A good job in the full court pressure. They got Wes Clark in a difficult position along the sideline. Looked like Jackson was going to come up with the steal. He was trying to pass it ahead to Sanford and lost control of the basketball. Now you got to play the possession straight up. Can't foul now. Look for Wes Clark to try and get in the high ball screen or 1-4 flat and go one-on-one. Oh, big offensive rebound.
C.J. Massenberg. Timeout, Buffalo.
Well, he was pinned along the sideline. Nate Oates was calling for a timeout. Remember, you can't call a timeout in a live ball situation from the sideline. But Massenberg coming out of nowhere. He's been quiet a lot here tonight, Clay. But that is a huge effort on the offensive glass to save the possession.
The leading scorer for Buffalo, 1 of 7 from the field tonight, but getting it done in other ways. And Buffalo, back-to-back champs in 15 and 16. Of course, Bobby Hurley led them to the program's first NCAA tournament in 2015. They were back in the MAC title game in 2016. They won it. Blake Hamilton's 3 with 2 seconds left. Under Nate Oates, sends them back to the dance. And now trying to win for the 3rd time in 4 years.
And now let's see, Toledo's got to send a second guy, try to force the ball out of Clark's hands.
They can't do it. Clark gets the pass off. Oh, Jordan can't finish. 50 seconds to go.
Keeps the door ajar, especially if you hit a 3.
Toledo down 8. Jackson. Not this time.
Well, he hit those last night when they needed him, but he can't get it there.
And Massenberg will be on the line, and the Buffalo fans starting to feel it. Well, Toledo just 2 points in the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds, Rob, and this is where it really shows that they're missing their best player tonight.
Well, think about the fact that they've gone to Fletcher in key situations all season long. And he's been able to deliver much like he did first time these two teams played when he had 27. But unavailable tonight, they showed great grit, determination, and heart to come up with the win late in the game last night, and great heart throughout this. Looks like they may just come up a little short.
That's 18 points and 8 rebounds per game on the bench. They have played with great character the last couple of games without him. Sanford left it short. Harris fouled. Buffalo goes back to the line with 27 seconds to go.
And now they can sense that they've got an opportunity to get back to the dance for the third time in 4 years.
Don't forget Kentucky and Tennessee in the SEC title game tomorrow, 1 Eastern. Tennessee swept Kentucky during the regular season. See what happens tomorrow afternoon, a few hours ahead of the selection show. Konopke has fouled out for Toledo. He's done.
And we've talked a lot, Clay, about what Buffalo's chances might be to become another MAC team to spring an upset. We said Joe Lunardi had him on the 12 line as far as seeding goes, and everybody knows that those 12 seeds wreak havoc in the tournament, especially MAC teams. But I also got to think and hope that Toledo will be alive for a potential bid to the NIT, and maybe it's not Trayshawn Fletcher's last game.
Buffalo certainly has the guard play. We've seen that they've got size to match up with a lot of Power 5 teams. Could be a dangerous team in that first round.
No question about it. They're built well to pull off an upset. Guard play, they got size inside and Perkins that can score it. They've got big wings. When they walk out onto the floor against one of those higher seeds, they're not going to look like they are a big-time underdog. Physically, they pass the eye test, and then the way they play, share the basketball, and when they're making threes and they're locked in defensively like they've been throughout this tournament, they could be a tough out in that first round.
There's Nate Oates, ready to take his team back to the big dance for the second time as the Bulls head coach. He and his family have been through a lot in recent years. His wife, Crystal, battling cancer. She's a survivor. Everything's in remission, and that's just a blessing. He's a proud father of 3 daughters, and they are going to be happy tonight.
And certainly when they went to the tournament the first time, she was in the midst of it. It's going to be a lot more joy when they head to the tournament this time.
Nate Oates and the Buffalo Bulls are going dancing. For the third time in 4 years, they are champs of the MAC. Buffalo goes on a 13-3 run over the last 4.5 minutes.
Well, they were the dominant team in the MAC throughout the regular season. Dominant team here in Cleveland for the last 3 days.
76-66 the final for Rob Kennedy and our crew. I'm Clay Matvick. Champ Week continues as Stephen F. Austin takes on Southeastern Louisiana for the Southland Championship. We say so long from Cleveland as Buffalo celebrates a MAC title. Getting ready for the trophy presentation here in Cleveland. There is Nate Oates, big smile on his face.
And hugging Wes Clark, who was the hero tonight, much like he was when he got Nate Oates a high school state championship back when he was the head coach at Romulus High School in Michigan.
26 points for Clark, 10 for Harris. They shoot 46% from the field, and Buffalo will be a dangerous team to be reckoned with in the NCAA tournament. Hugs and high fives all the way around. Now we go out to Katy, Texas, and the Southland Championship, Stephen F. Austin and Southeastern Louisiana.